Well on people, welcome back to the United Stand. We have a countdown to kick off a Europa League game. Manchester United are playing Fenerbahce. It's a Thursday night, 8 p.m. kickoff. I'm not here by myself. I'm with the amazing Kev. How are you feeling?
Nobody has ever called me amazing, Ward. So the finest of fair play. We've got a good start there. Let's
show Kev some love in the chat, actually. Yeah, let's show Kev some love in the chat.
Let's get it going, man.
But listen,
technical hitches.
But listen, there's been a lot of talk online. I'm sure everyone in the chat has probably seen the rumours going around. So I really just want to get straight into it. Mazraoui in the 10. What is your first initial thoughts about that? Because we don't know if it's true. It's not confirmed or anything, but there's been a lot of talks about it. So what do you think about that?
First initial thoughts was like, what the heck? I'm like, Mazraoui at number 10. You know, I've never heard of that. I've never known him to play this position. I'm hoping. Listen, it might be a surprise, but looking at the actual sort of predicted kind of team, if he is going to be in it, I could see it probably being a back kind of 3, or which in theory could be a 5. But listen, it could be a potential curveball. We could see Mazraoui playing this 10 role. We know that Bruno isn't available, but it is a massive curveball. If it is, because nobody has seen this one coming. And it goes on really Ten Hag, doesn't it? You know, has he seen something that we haven't seen in Mazraoui? Because honestly, it's a huge call. And it's a big game as well, man. I
mean, I know he's versatile. We give him praise for being versatile. I don't know if he's that versatile.
I certainly didn't have him down as a number 10. I've never heard anything like it. But.
I mean, obviously, like you said before, it comes from the fact that Bruno isn't available. He would obviously be the main person to start in the 10. I mean, the second person who we all think would start in the 10 after that would be Eriksen. But looking at the midfielder options that we have, he only travelled with 3 midfielders, and Casemiro, for some reason, there's been, again, talks that he's not starting. So now it's like, okay, what other players can either play in the midfield, or we're going to have to create, or Ten Hag going to have to figure out another formation which just allows us to have more players in the middle of the pitch. If that means that Mazraoui is gonna be in the 10 or be like a wing back where he's very inverted, then it would make a little bit more sense in that aspect. I feel like, him being a wing back and then playing more than like attacking wing back, so he's in and around those positions, fair enough. But to say Mazraoui is going to be the number 10, even though everyone's been crying for Zirkzee to play the 10 sometimes, well, there's no one else really here to even have that kind of option. Like you said, it is really just confusing.
It's going to be an interesting team because, like you say, with Casemiro, I thought it would have been nailed on that if Ugarte is going to get time, it'd be Ugarte, Casemiro, and Eriksen fills that Bruno void. Yeah. I think he's well capable of doing it. Yes, you're not going to have the same kind of intensity that Bruno brings to the team, but Eriksen's a clever player. He can get on the ball. He can make things happen. But again, until we've got it absolutely confirmed here on the United Stand, you do look at it and there's no smoke without fire. There's a lot of people saying that Mazraoui is going to play the 10. It's really interesting to see because, yes, he's good on the ball, but we've only seen him at right back. Defensively, he's brilliant. Yeah. Getting forward, equally as good. So I haven't got an issue with that. It's just, like I said earlier, I think I'm going to set a world record for saying the word curveball, but this is a major curveball, that it is. Major curveball.
And that kind of just goes into the conversation about United's depth right now. I mean, we had so many problems last season with depth. Pretty much across the whole pitch. Centre-back was probably the most. We were on to genuinely playing Casemiro and Camboala as our centre-back pairings. And then we had problems at full-back. We had no left-back. We were playing Amrabat and sometimes Wan-Bissaka at left-back. Right-back, we were a bit okay because we had Diallo there for most of the season. But then in the midfield again, because we had Mainu, he was kind of a lifeline for Ten Hag because he was so good, it's so quick. He developed so quickly. It was like, okay, I have a player that can definitely play there in the 8 or the 6 or wherever you want to play them. And then Bruno's there as well. I guess the other option being either Casemiro, being who else was even available last season. It was very much of a toss-up as to who would play that 6. But again, the depth kind of was a huge problem. One injury and all of a sudden we don't have anyone to play there. It's now back to experimenting again. And it's somehow, even though we've made 5 signings this summer, we're back to the same conversation. Who do we have available? And it doesn't seem like we have anyone there.
It is. And we thought we'd addressed this kind of situation. The midfield was such I always said United was a bit like a donut. You know, we were good round the sides, at the back and that, and in the middle we had this big gaping hole. And one of the main issues was sort of addressed. Yes, we brought Casemiro in, but more long term, it didn't really it just solved it in the short term. You mentioned Kobbie Mainoo, massive miss at this moment in time. And obviously there's been stories this week that, you know, maybe Ten Hag didn't fancy signing Ugarte, which there could be some truth to that. I mean, hopefully he does start tonight, because you certainly don't write a player off after, you know, a couple of games. We need to see what he's about. We spent good money on him. But we've sat here before, haven't we, on fan forums, and we've said, why is this guy not playing? You know, we spent good money on him. It's a vital sort of role in the team, yet he doesn't seem to be getting game time. But I mean, another one of the players you mentioned that was there last season was obviously Amrabat. Yeah. You know, and he's going to be playing against us this evening. You know, and obviously Ten Hag has said this week that Amrabat said that Ten Hag actually wanted to keep him, and that it was Wilcox that didn't want to, which again makes it very, very interesting, because you're starting to see that the regime or Ineos, the powers above, are actually probably ticking this off and will sign this player. So it kind of takes that thing off Ten Hag, doesn't it? You know.
Yeah, because exactly what you just said. I don't mind having a department or directors who are in charge of the footballing decisions. I think most top clubs have that anyway. In fact, most clubs in general have that anyway. They've got people upstairs who take control when it comes to how do you want to play, which players suit that style of play. They have scouting departments that can look across Europe and find the right players to suit a specific style of play. You look at Klopp, Salah and all these guys, they weren't Klopp signings. Klopp had a style of play, and the board above went out and found the players to suit how Klopp wanted to play.
Identified
and then it obviously worked out for them. So I don't mind that. I'm perfectly fine with that. But the problem that we're having now is the board are finding players which Ten Hag doesn't want to play. Which is now it's like a conflict of, well, why are we spending so much money? I mean, let's be honest, everyone was dying for us to get a midfielder, especially after that Liverpool game. We lost 3-0, Casemiro made all the mistakes. It was like, we need somebody in midfield. We need a ball-winning defender. We need someone who can protect the ball. We need someone who can protect Mainoo when Mainoo wants to go forward and whatnot. We're dying out for a midfielder. We've got Ugarte in the team now, and it is evident that he isn't one of Ten Hag's favourite players. Or, let me not say favourite players, but he's a starting player for Ten Hag every single game.
Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when United signed Donny van der Beek. I always got the impression that it wasn't Solskjaer who actually wanted him. I think the club at the time just thought it was a great price and we'll go out and get him. And I think that showed in the game time that Donny van der Beek got. Obviously, longer term down the line, Ten Hag decided to get rid of him. Which again, you always thought, if anyone can get the best out of him, it's going to be this manager, because he's worked with him at Ajax, got the best out of him there. For whatever reason, it didn't work out, but I did always get that impression that he was more of a Woodward signing than he was Ten Hag. And it is a massive thing, you know. You look at the money that Ten Hag has, well, I say Ten Hag, obviously the big one's Anthony. You know, you're talking, nearly 90 million. Even recent signings, you could say Mason Mount at nearly 60 million. And even Zirkzee this season. In theory, I look at them three players and the amount of money that Manchester United have spent. You're talking, nearly 200 million. And you could actually argue that they don't really make us much stronger. And, they're not getting in the team, are they? Well, Zirkzee's only just kind of arrived. But, I mean, the point is that, you know, has it made us any stronger? Are they even players that we needed? You know, facts. When you look at especially on an evening like this, where the midfield area, we're even talking about Mazraoui being a number 10. Yes, if Mason Mount was available, but again, that's a story for another day. You know, we'll sit here till the cows come home talking about the amount of injuries he's had. But the amount of money he spent, it's quite baffling, because you think, did we need to strengthen in that area really?
And the parts that we did need to strengthen. I mean, to be fair, I would have said at the end of last season, the main part, we need to strengthen the centre-back position, which we did do. You know, we brought in De Ligt, brought in Euro. Euro is back in training, so hopefully we are going to see him in the next, I don't know when his return is, but this year, hopefully, maybe, we don't know. So I did feel like they did well in that department, but like you said, there's other places where we've gone out and we've got to play that. We at one point, we had like 4 right wingers. We had Sancho, Anthony, Garnacho technically right and left, and Ahmad. And that was kind of the reason why a player like Ahmad wasn't even getting game time because there were just so many players in his position, and the players that were in his position were signings. When you've got a £72 million Sancho, you've got a £90 million Antony, and you've got Garnacho, who's let me not say overperforming, but he's doing better than expected. A player like Ahmad's just going to have to sit on the bench. He's going to have to because he's kind of the last in the pecking order. Regardless of performances, he's the last in the pecking order of those other players. So
he's another one this evening. I mean, if Ahmad's not in the team, it's almost like, what has he got to do, this kid, to get in the team?
Yeah.
You know, we've said it before, he gets Player of the Month after scoring against Brighton, and he's rewarded with being on the bench against Liverpool, you know, and it keeps it's humiliation from his point, you know. I've always said Ten Hag, give it time and stuff, but there's little chinks in his armour that I look at, and certainly his favourites, I can't stand that word, you know. You shouldn't really have favourites like teachers' pets. You should be in there on current form, and to me, when you look at Ahmad, he very rarely does much wrong. And then to be taken out, I think he's just such an easy target. Whereas somebody like Garnacho will throw his toys out the pram. He'll like a social media post, cause a bit of a storm, cause a story. Whereas Ahmad kind of goes about his business, you know, strikes me as somebody who doesn't have the ego.
Very
and
humble,
sometimes you probably think, I wish he had a bit of that in him.
Arrogance in him.
Yeah, a bit of arrogance, you know. And I'm sure he believes in himself. But again, if he doesn't start this evening, you know, I'd be asking questions, mate.
I wouldn't actually be surprised. Like, I genuinely wouldn't be surprised at all.
The way it is at the minute. But again, you know, if he is going to change up the squad, rotate this evening, obviously he might have one eye on West Ham at the weekend as well. But the major thing this evening is, you know, we really need to get points on the board. Before this campaign started, you'd have looked at, let's say, Porto away and this one this evening, Fenerbahce away. In isolation, before it kicked off, you'd have thought a draw away at these would be a really good point. You know, difficult places to go. But when you break it down, the draw to FC20, that's the one that really, that stuttering start, and now we're playing catch-up. I'm not saying we have to win tonight, but it'd be a massive 3 points if we can get it over the line.
100%. Let me get some super chats in. So, super chat from John Tyrell, Mazraoui, number 10, masterclass incoming. Enjoy the game, gents. I mean, hopefully.
I hope so, I really do.
Hopefully it is. Super chat from C-Rock Bar. Ahmad is right there if you want to experiment in the cam position. What does the lad need to do?
There we go, what we were talking about
exactly what
then.
Kev just said. Super chat from Fellaini's Afro.
What a name.
Louis van Gaal's Kev Army.
Yes, they were the days.
Another super chat from Class 92. Eric Ten Hag frustrating. Why not just start Ahmad at the 10? I mean, that is a conversation that was one of the topics I actually want to speak about. Because obviously Bruno's not starting, that 10 position is vacant. Now, the only options, in my opinion, before this whole Mazraoui news came out, the only options that I could see in there was an Ahmad and was a Zirkzee. Those were the two real 10 options, other than Eriksen, obviously. But I feel like because our midfield options are low anyway, I feel like he would have just put Eriksen anywhere. Like as an 8 or a 10, he would have just played regardless. So I feel like the 10 position specifically was where he might have experimented in the team. And like I said, in my opinion, is one of the two. In fact, let's get a poll on that. Who would you rather play in the cam position, Ahmad or Zirkzee? Unless there's anybody else you think could experiment there. I mean, let's put Mazraoui as well. Let's just put all three because he's in the conversation now anyway.
Mazraoui gets 100% here. Honestly,
now he's in the conversation anyway. Yeah. But out of those three players, I guess, who would you say would be your player to experiment in that attacking midfielder position?
Do you know, possibly Ahmad? Because obviously we know that Bruno isn't starting tonight, and I just feel it's such a vital part of the team. And obviously we've got people on this channel, you know, Bruno's rubbish, get him out of the team. I won't mention any names, a rubbish impression that, but this is a time to experiment because we all know that Bruno, you know, he'll probably be back, as long as he's fit, he'll be back in the team on Sunday against West Ham. Yeah. He very rarely, you know, unless he's injured or suspended, he's not going to be out of this team. Again, that goes back to favourites, but he is the captain of the team. Now, he hasn't been playing well, and I think a lot of us, even this season, have been, you know, honest enough to say he's not been playing well. Let's change it up. But at the same time, the player that could play in that position has been Mason Mount. You know, he gets a scratch on his head, he hurts his ear, you know, he's out for 3 weeks.
Breaks his nail.
One thing after another, man. He's out. So Bruno hasn't really got competition. There's no heir to the throne, nobody there you know, pushing him and knocking at the door. And Ahmad would be a really interesting choice. Mazraoui was the last person that, you know, even when you said it earlier and you shouted over and said Mazraoui number 10, you remember my reaction, and I'm like, you check your watch, man. You think, is it April Fool's Day? What is going on, man? It's October, but really, really wild call. But it's an interesting one because he's got a chance tonight to, like you say, experiment with it and try something different, and maybe. You know, it could be at the end of the game that we look back and maybe some people will maybe appreciate Fernandes a bit more and think, because whoever it is, I mean, if it is Ahmad, at least you would get that kind of press, you know, closing down, and, whereas Eriksen wouldn't do that. You know, he's a bit more clever. He's going to sit in. He might even come back into a free in the midfield, bit more disciplined, whereas Bruno's, you know, a bit more erratic, whereas... Ahmad, again, you would get that pressing kind of style. A
lot more composed,
uses the ball, not greedy. I couldn't see him trying the Hollywood passes and, you know, trying again and try like Bruno does. So, it really is an opportunity to try something different tonight. But
we'll see.
The whispers and the rumours don't look great, do they, man?
And I think as well, because you know, a lot of people will be saying Eriksen would be the preferred player to play in the 10, which is obvious. I think we all kind of would say that anyway. I think it's just the fact that if Casemiro if there is doubts for Casemiro, which I don't actually understand, because we were at open training session, what was it? Wednesday? Yesterday?
Tuesday?
Wednesday morning. We were at an open training session and Casemiro was there. He looked perfectly fine, trained with the team. It didn't seem like there was any doubts, but obviously today there's been conversations about it.
And the thing is, if he's on the bench, then I always say if they're fit enough to be on the bench, they're fit enough to start the game. So clearly, if Casemiro is on the bench, then this is a tactical thing, or you know, something new that he is trying for this game.
But the point I was even trying to make was, if out of those three midfield positions, you call it the 6, 8, or 10. There's only in my opinion, it's hard to experiment with an 8 because I feel like the 8 is the most difficult part of the pitch anyway. To be a midfielder and to have to defend and attack at the same time. We saw England try that with Trent and it didn't work. Talented player, it's a very difficult position to play. The only real two positions that you can kind of experiment with is that DM position and the 10, and I don't think we even have a player who's
capable of
being in that DM position. Maybe you could look at a Diallo and say Mazraoui at right back, Martinez left back. Look at Diallo in the DM. You know, Martinez. There was conversations about Martinez early on about him being a potential DM as well. And I think Arsenal wanted to sign him as a DM. So that could be another conversation. But the fact that we literally only have 3 midfielders travelling, one of them is Casemiro, who is potentially doubtful, means that there's going to have to be some kind of experiment today.
It just seems like square pegs in round holes to me. You know, when you're mentioning players like that out of position, I'm a bit more. I'd certainly prefer the players in their preferred positions. When it comes to, like you say, an Ahmad, then moving him inside is not a major change. Changing the player from right back into the number 10 position is a major change. You know, it's ones like that you look at. Even Martinez, you know, great centre back at Manchester United, to play that little bit further forward could be an experiment one day that we might see. You know, once Euro comes back, we've got De Ligt, so we are heavily stacked. We've still got Maguire, we've got Lindelof, we're certainly heavily stacked in the centre back kind of area. So it's something you could trial, you know, and see how it goes. I won't be against that.
We've just got some news about a player who is going to start.
Go on.
This might be a bit surprising. In fact, it is a bit surprising. I don't think you'll be able to guess who it is. Try and guess who it is. A player that's going to start, 100%.
A player that's going to start.
Other than the obvious ones.
I'm just trying to think. I don't know. Amas?
No. No, Amas. But we do have some news. Victor Lindelof is going to start today. Victor Lindelof is going to play. Which I guess...
Well, all the pieces of the jigsaw will start to fit into place now, because Well, where's he going to play him? He might be playing him up front or right wing. We don't know.
I mean, this just adds a whole. Ten Hag just loves playing games with us. You know,
this is going to be one of the craziest countdown to kick-offs because this team news. Honestly, I'm actually excited, but nervously excited here to see what is actually happening. So we would assume that Lindelof is going to be somewhere in that defence.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. It would either be centre back or left back.
Yeah.
So. I mean, that kind of, again, that, in my opinion, that kind of pushes the Mazraoui 10 more. Because if Lindelof is playing left back,
it strengthens this style.
And Martinez is playing centre-back, De Ligt is playing centre-back, Dalot's right-back,
when you know the defence, start to read them out one by one. And once we've got that kind of defence in place, if Mazraoui is then mentioned in this conversation, then we know that this is exactly what's going on.
Yeah, in fact, I've got Sam C in my ear. Can you just keep on giving us one more name, one name after the other? We'll do every 2 minutes we're going to reveal
another morning, man. We're unraveling.
Another player. We do also have Beth calling in 10 minutes as well from Fenerbahce. Well, from
if we can hear her in that stadium, don't they? They usually get there about 5 hours before kick-off.
It will be crazy, to be fair. So yeah, Beth will be calling in, so we'll hear her opinion. I saw she's got a lot to say about this as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know that the poll right now, it's actually very close, you know. Wow.
Don't say the shouts for Mazraoui.
No, it's not. Mazraoui's not close. Mazraoui's not close. But between Zirkzee and Ahmad, right now it's 44 and 47%.
Right.
So
that tells you
everyone's confused.
Yeah.
Everyone is confused. But what do you think about, you spoke about Ahmad playing a 10. What do you think about Zirkzee playing a 10? Because I've always said that he has the attributes that other attacking midfielders have. For example, the link-up play, he does like to drop in deep and he likes to be on the ball. He would rather the ball played to his feet instead of the ball being played in behind. So he does have those attributes. However, I feel like playing as a 10 is a completely different world. Playing as a midfielder is a completely different world than playing as a striker who drops in deep. The fact that you're having to, first of all, it's not a case of, you know, you drop in deep and then you get to run forward and kind of relax a little bit. As a midfielder, you've got to be involved in every aspect of the game. You can't just, like I said, come into the midfield, get the ball of Eriksen, spin back off it and go and, chase a long ball or something like that. You have to have, eyes in the back of your head. You have to know where every other player is. You've got to be completely aware of the spaces on the pitch and the press and whatnot. It's a completely different world. Like I said before, we saw a player like Trent playing the midfield for England, and it was a head loss for him. He didn't know what to do, and we've seen it happen on countless occasions. That's the only thing I'd say about Zirkzee playing as a 10. It sounds like a good idea, but in reality, it is a completely new world for a striker to be in the middle of the pitch. It's a very different game.
Doesn't this come back to what I said to you earlier, where I don't really understand why Ten Hag signed him? You know, if you're talking 34 million on a player, and what we're actually debating now is where he's actually best playing, because we've signed him and he was quick enough to come out and say, I'm not really a striker. Don't expect me to score, lots and lots of goals. That's not me. So you go, all right then. So what are you all about? And again, we've praised him for his link-up play. I do get that, and I think fair enough. But this club, I'm trying to work out the position again, and I don't want to write a player off, but he does look. He looks pretty unorthodox, I'll say. Sometimes, even at the weekend, the kind of half chance that he had in that area where Rashford, whether it was a heavy touch or he was trying to play it into him, if he's a bit more switched on, he can take that down and bang, it's a goal. But I've seen a few instances, and I said on Van Cam the other week, I was like, why did I say that after it? But the more I thought about it, I was like, I said that Zirkzee kind of reminds me of this moment of a giraffe on roller skates wearing a Fellaini wig, which I thought was, it's quite harsh, but you won't unsee that now. Every time you see Zirkzee. What I mean, he just seems like a clumsy kind of player, but at the same time, you can see he's got something. I don't know whether he's just trying too hard. It is it's a massive club, Manchester United, to be given that opportunity. Maybe he's talking himself down slightly, saying, he doesn't want that pressure of goals put on him. Don't expect this from me. But my question really is, and I am like, what are we signing him for? Where does he fit in this team? He's not going to play on the left. He's not going to play on the right.
What do we need him for? Like, what's his use? What's the usefulness of him?
And when he's played the false nine, I mean, long term, is this what Man United want to do? No, because we've invested heavily in a player like Højlund, who I think everybody knows is going to be the focal point of this team in the long term, next, let's say 5, 6, 7 years, you would hope that Højlund's going to flourish into this, top class number 9.
Yeah.
That's what we did, when we bought him. We didn't spend the extra 20 million to get Harry Kane, the ready-made article, because we were looking more long term.
Yeah.
So again, Zirkzee does fit the age kind of barrier. You'd look and think, you're going to get years out of him.
Yeah,
but again, I do struggle to see, because people do say, he could challenge Bruno for his position. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, and I think the thing with Zirkzee as well is, I've been saying this since the start of the season, he's not a goal scorer. Like I said before, he doesn't have that striker instinct. The striker instinct that Højlund has, and the last game I used the example of Højlund's goal, that goal wouldn't have come if Højlund didn't have that striker instinct to know that, when the ball comes to Bruno, I'm going to spin off my defender and make that run. Most other midfielders, when the ball's coming to Bruno, they're taking a touch. They're not passing it first time. The fact that Bruno passed it first time was already an amazing pass. But Højlund's got to have that instinct in him anyway to know that the ball could potentially go through first time, and I need to be there when it's in the position so I can take a touch, and then the finish was amazing.
It's
anyway.
Anticipation. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And in a sense, you can't actually coach that. You can try and say it, but sometimes if you played that role from an early age and instinctively you have got that, and you are always going to be a goal scorer, it's not something you turn on and turn off. You've just got it, or you haven't.
Yeah.
A player like Andy Cole at Manchester United was unbelievable at that.
Yeah.
His movement. I love players that will even spin and make a movement, away from goal or whatever, to allow somebody else to come through.
Yeah, to drag a defender out of the way.
I think we've had a huge problem at United with players like this. I think we've had players that are too selfish, not willing to make them runs that open up the gaps, and you need that. Any top team that plays this sort of pressing, keeping the ball, that's the way that modern football is going.
Yeah.
You need front players that can stretch a back line, and that's what you need to do. But Andy Cole was brilliant at it.
Yeah, it's all about chemistry, because even with Andy Cole, like I said, him and Dwight York, it was
the way they moved off.
It was the chemistry between them. They both understood each other's game perfectly. Yeah. Dwight York will know that Andy Cole's going to make this run before the ball's even played. So he knows, if Andy Cole's making this run, I'm going to make this run because this is going to help him to get the ball, and it's going to give him a bit more space. And that chemistry,
I've never seen the likes of that since, to be honest, at United.
I think Rooney and Van Persie had great chemistry.
Yeah.
I think they had amazing chemistry. Even though Rooney was playing a little bit deeper, it wasn't a double striker kind of thing. It was more like a striker and like a 10 almost with Rooney.
Cole and York were different gravy.
Honestly.
Big time.
But it's that chemistry which I want to see more in this team anyway. I want to see the player like Højlund. Even I remember Rashford and Martial. They had great chemistry. I think when they played together at one point anyway, they both understood each other's game very well, and they both linked up amazingly. We need to see that a lot more in this team. And in saying that as well, for example, a player like Zirkzee, the same way how we're having a conversation about how he's not the kind of player to make that run off or to drag a defender, a player like Rashford and Garnacho, they have to understand that as well, because if Zirkzee's not going to be a goal scorer, that means they have to be the goal scorers.
Yeah.
And the way we always say about we need Rashford to create, we need Garnacho to create, it's got to be one or the other. Either you want these players to be more creative and to be facilitating a lot more, or they got to be the main goal scorers in the team. And if they're playing with a player like Zirkzee, I keep saying Zirkzee, they're going to have to be a bit more selfish. They're going to have to be a little bit more selfish, because if they're not going to get the goals, where are the goals going to come from?
Yeah. The main concern and worry is obviously we seen when Højlund was injured. And the reasoning for Ten Hag to bring Zirkzee in was apparently that he's going to be a kind of backup, a backup striker to Højlund, where you think, well, if Højlund gets a good run of games from now till the end of the season, again, that's why I'm trying to say, where does Zirkzee fit in? Because you don't want to be sat on the bench, £34 million player or whatever he is, just in case, or coming on for the last 10 minutes of a game if you want to wrap Højlund up in cotton wool and bring him off with one eye on the next game, the midweek, the weekend game, whatever. So you kind of look at it and think, it is a strange one, but at the same time, where do you fit him into this team? I think there has been shouts, like you say, for this number 10 role. If you want to thingy Bruno, if you want to take Bruno out of the team. But as you've rightly said, it is a different position altogether.
World.
And then, he's played the false nine, Zirkzee. he's been all right, you know. But again, is that a tactic Manchester United want to use? Maybe certain games, but again, you would assume that when Højlund's fully fit, he's going to start, unless we get a curveball here tonight and he's not playing.
Got a couple super chats here from the K Stone. Give Zirkzee time. Don't panic. He'll come good. Look, that's what we want. Yeah. That's what we want. We definitely want him to come good. But I feel like you can already see the kind of player that he is anyway. You know, whether or not that develops, we know what kind of player he's going to be. Or he's a
great link-up player.
Yeah.
We've said it on fan forums again, when you're reacting after a game and you can see patterns of play, and you've seen what he was bringing from Garnacho, from Rashford. Yeah. He does bring them into play, which is something different from what Bruno does. I think we're so used to Fernandes hitting these Hollywood passes, top tier, the Stretford end, the groans, and you're like, for God's sake, you know, it's great when it comes off, but what you're doing when you give the ball away that many times as he does is you're just putting yourself on the back foot constantly. Whereas I think it was refreshing to see Zirkzee playing that kind of role, let's say the false nine higher up the pitch, because what he did do was when he managed to control it and get it out of his feet, he's looking out wide, and I think that's where our main strength is. That's how we won the FA Cup final last season. It was a great team performance, but the switch of play from Rashford to Garnacho, it was counter-attacking football, and it was using the width for the wide players. You know, that's our main sort of armour, I'd say. Yeah, and it's interesting because, like you said, we kind of want Zirkzee to be the guy who is actually linking up and facilitating Rashford and Garnacho, but I feel like this season, Rashford's done the opposite. He's been the one to kind of try and facilitate or try and create for Zirkzee, and he's not finished. You know, we look at the two crosses that he had against Liverpool or Tottenham, one of those two games where we lost 3-0, and everyone was like, how's he not scored those two chances? The last game where, like you said, Rashford took that touch, and if Zirkzee was a little bit quicker on his feet, switched on, isn't it?
A bit more switched on, he could have maybe took a touch and got a shot, or got a first-time shot. But really, I kind of want it to be the other way around. I want Rashford to be in those positions, because I think he's a much better finisher, a lot more composed in front of goal, one-on-ones. I think he's a way better goal scorer than Zirkzee actually is. So it's kind of like the way they're playing now, we kind of want them to switch around. Yeah. We want Zirkzee to be the one to actually get these guys in a better position so they can go out and they can
I don't want to knock him, you know, confidence-wise, I want him to do well, but I just feel that the top players in that area come alive. And again, I'm certainly not comparing Zirkzee to Haaland, but when you see a goal that Haaland scores, you know, last night for Manchester City, that's pure instinct. You know, this is my area. That's where I come to life. And again, I'm not certainly not comparing Zirkzee to Haaland. I'm just saying, you know, top players come alive in that area and they make things happen. They're instinctive, switched on. You know, there's half a chance here if I can touch it down. And I think at the weekend, that kind of Zirkzee one, maybe being too harsh on him. You know, maybe Rashford overhit the ball. I don't know, but he just seemed a bit jittery and not on it.
Not on his toes, That's it. Super chat here from, I missed a super chat earlier from Syra Bar. Says, heck, I would put Casemiro at Cam before Mazraoui. I mean, I don't know about that one. At least if he loses the ball, there's a lot of
he might be playing there, but we don't know yet.
You actually never know. We're still waiting for the confirmed starting 11. We'll keep on trying to get you updates on which players are playing. So far, we do know that Lindelof is playing. So, like we said before, we've just got another update. Ugarte will be playing. Yep. Kind of expected. You know, I kind of hoped anyway that one of the three midfielders that catch up
will be playing. We hoped, because I don't think we did expect it, really.
Oh yeah, true, because of Casemiro, Eriksen, and true.
Yeah, yes.
Also, another update, Casemiro doesn't start.
Doesn't start, right.
So we do have
starting to shape up now.
We do have two midfielders. I'm assuming Eriksen does start, and now we do know Ugarte does start. So that is the two midfielders that we have available in the team that are both playing. So it's going to have to be... The Mazraoui thing is kind of adding up a little bit. It's all adding up a little bit.
This is history here on the United stand, honestly.
It is all adding up a little bit, but... Official team does come in 10 minutes.
So we've got 10 minutes here.
10 minutes. So let us know in the comments. Let us know in the comments, what do you think the starting team is going to be, knowing now who is starting and who isn't starting, let us know who do you think is going to be, and where would you play them? Like, it doesn't matter who is playing. Where are you going to play these guys? Yeah, are we going to play it? Is it going to be a different formation? Are they going to just have to experiment? Is Malacia coming back?
You'll get some social media football expert who'll say, I've always thought Mazraoui should have played number 10. Yeah, of course you did, sunshine. You never heard that before in your life.
But yeah, let's change the conversation a little bit. Let's talk about the opponent that we're playing against. Now, we are coming up against Jose Mourinho. We do know this guy is dying for a win today. This is probably the biggest game that he's played this season, in his opinion, because playing against Man United, playing against a team that sacked you anyway, you want to win. Because you want to kind of prove to them that you kind of made a mistake with that. And a lot of people do say that, to be fair. A lot of people do have Jose Mourinho as the best manager post-Fergie. A lot of people have him as the number one manager, even though they've all been sacked. He's probably the best one that has been sacked. So in that conversation, Beth is going to be coming on soon. Would you say that this is it going to be a tactical kind of masterclass from Jose? Is he going to come into this game thinking, I want this win? Or is it going to be you know what, Jose Mourinho's always been a defensive kind of manager. He kind of just wants to sit back, soak up pressure and hit on a counter-attack. What kind of style do you think he's going to go for?
If there's anyone that knows Jose Mourinho, it's us Manchester United fans. I think it's going to be a bit of beep, beep. I think there's going to be a bit of parking the bus. Listen, you know what to get from a Mourinho side. He's going to set up, I would say, would be defensively, but the main thing will be the atmosphere from the start. You know, whenever you go to kind of Istanbul, the fans get in the stadium early, you know, they're going to make it, you know, welcome to hell and all this. So I think it's definitely going to be a tricky game. An early goal could possibly silence the crowd, but Mourinho, master of the dark arts, I think all the football shithousery and everything that goes with it, we can expect to kind of see that tonight. And obviously a couple of old boys in Fred and Amrabat from last season, they'll have a point to prove as well, you know, regardless of what Amrabat said in his comments. But Mourinho was very glowing of United. I thought he made some really nice comments, but at the same time, he's a natural-born winner.
We know what he's like. But
and well done to Beth for the question as well.
Yeah, well done to Beth. Beth is with us right now. Beth, can you hear us?
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can
Good
hear you.
evening.
How is it going over there? What is the energy like? What's the atmosphere like? What are your feelings towards this game?
You've actually just missed. Oh wait, they're going off again. I don't know if you can hear it. Like every time any sort of Manchester United staff member goes on the pitch, the Fenerbahce fans just go into full like booing mode. Eric and Mark just come on, done a little bit of a lap of the pitch. The United fans were laughing, but you couldn't hear him because the Fenerbahce fans just already booing massively, and it's not even half full yet. So it's the atmosphere is already getting going, that's for sure.
That is crazy.
Wow, they've already started.
I know, I told you.
You know, that's probably instruction from Mourinho. You know, he said nine games early.
He said in his press conference that the fans have to play a big part tonight to beat United, so they're already starting off.
So what are your opinions on the news so far? You know, this whole Mazraoui thing, Casemiro not playing. What are your opinions on this? What do you think is going to happen?
I mean, it's mad because this week everyone's debating like what's Ten Hag going to do. He's going to put Zirkzee in the 10, like will he put Ahmad in the 10? You know, is he going to play Eriksen there finally? And you're going to see Ugarte and Casemiro. I don't think anyone had a discussion about is Mazraoui going to play in the 10. So, you know what? Never let him see your next move. I don't think Jose Mourinho would have been predicting that. I mean, personally, would I rather see... I think it's too early to throw Zirkzee into the 10 in a game like this. Would I have liked to see Ahmad in there? Yes. If he's physically capable enough, I suppose Mazraoui's a little bit more, defensively capable, but you want creativity from your number 10, and we know Ahmad does possess that. We know he sees the ball well. I would have kept it simple, really, and I would have put Eriksen there. But Casemiro did pick up a knot in the game at the weekend, so maybe he's just not fit to start. He's sort of gone, what am I going to do here? And apparently, I'm seeing from Twitter, I mean, I have no idea, that Mazraoui played in a 10 some games at Ajax, but I didn't know that. I thought he's always been like a fullback. So, I don't know, he's definitely got the technical capability. Ten Hag also was the guy who decided to put Wout Weghorst at 10. It's a new camp, you know, away from home, and it was a masterclass. So, let's see if he's going to pull it off again.
So you're obviously a Bruno fan. How big of a loss do you think this is for Bruno to not play? Or do you feel like United can still, as Ricky says, it's not about Bruno Fernandes, it's about keeping the ball. You know, Ricky, I think Ricky's there. He's at the game, right?
Yeah. He's here in Istanbul. I was talking to him earlier, and he was saying that he was already getting his excuses in. He's like, even if we get beat 3, like, that can happen on any occasion. We've done that with Bruno in before. Do you know what? With Bruno being missing, it's one of them where it's like, it would have been really good to have him because obviously our midfield options are slim. Mazraoui's playing in the 10. Like, the midfield options are very, very slim. I don't think we have any midfielders on the bench apart from Casemiro, who might not even be fully fit. So in that way, it would have been great to have him, and he is the captain. But also at the same time, Bruno Fernandes has been poor the whole season, and he's been poor for quite a long time. Got sent off in his last game. You know, I don't think he should have got sent off against Spurs, but got sent off there, and he's just looked nothing like his old self. I thought against Brentford he looked half decent, but that's probably the first half decent performance in a long time. So I don't think personally for Bruno Fernandes it will do him any harm sitting out tonight. It might actually be what he needs, and I'm hoping at the weekend you'll see a refreshed Bruno. And sometimes you just need that game out watching on the sideline to sort of kick yourself back into gear. So from a Bruno point of view, I think it'll be good for him. For United and squad depth, it would obviously have been good to have him, but we'll see something different, and that's what people have wanted to see.
Beth, we were talking about the number 10 role, and we had a poll running saying who would you prefer. We obviously didn't put Mazraoui in it because we.
No, he is in it.
Oh, is he in it? Oh, he is in it. He's not doing very well. But the other two standout players were Zirkzee and Ahmad. We were discussing possibly, if Ahmad can't get game time at this moment in time, where does he fit in? And we were like, maybe try him in that number 10 role. But, I mean, from your point of view, take Mazraoui out of this, because if you even tell me for 1 minute that you were going Mazraoui at number 10, I'm not believing you. I'd say you've had too many beers, Beth. Be professional, man. Keep it real. But who would you have gone for out of Zirkzee and Ahmad as a number 10? Because this is an opportunity, Beth, to mix it up because of this Bruno suspension this evening.
It's a tough one. Yeah, Kev, you know what? I predicted Mazraoui 10 last year.
Yeah, of course you did.
I remember said it.
Just didn't want to reveal it. I just didn't want to reveal it. No, obviously no one saw that coming. It's hard because all week I've been saying I'd like to see Zirkzee play there, but I've said I would have liked to see him play there from the start, especially considering how low I think his confidence might be now. So also asking to switch positions in an away game against Fenerbahce with the atmosphere here, I think it's a really tough ask. I don't actually think he's too mobile as well, which I think you need that as a number 10. I'd like to see in the last 20 minutes of the game. I'd love to see him linked up with Højlund. I'd also maybe like to see him play a different formation with both of them playing off each other up front. But to start him in the 10 role today, I think would have been a tough ask. I honestly would have loved to see Ahmad there. If he's physically, the strongest, probably not. But I do think he's improved in that area. I think he's really technically capable. And you know what? Okay, yeah. Maybe he isn't always going to win a 50-50 with someone because he's not the most physical. What he will do is he will keep the ball, which stops teams from counter-attacking you anyway, and for them to have them counter-attacks to go at you. So I would have liked to see Ahmad there. I think he's very technically capable. He can weave in and out of the lines, and I think he's got a creative mind. So I think if you ask me right now, if I was picking, I would have gone Ahmad. I think he deserves some game time as well.
Good shout.
Yeah, good shout. Another quick question. You were obviously at the press conference last night. You spoke to Mourinho, got a question, and you spoke to Eriksen. From just speaking to them and seeing how they were responding, what would you say was the energy like from Eriksen and Ten Hag and Mourinho? Was it a kind of, did it give you confidence being there? Did it give you a bit of life or a bit of momentum, motivation that they were going to go out there and fight?
I think United will win this game, and that might just be, my bias creeping in as it does.
Slightly.
But Mourinho, this is just my opinion, and obviously I was just picking up on the energy of the room. By the way, the biggest character ever. Even when you're just there with him, and even stuff that weren't on camera, afterwards, he was just still in the room, chatting to everyone, just having banter. He was hilarious. But what the vibe I got was, he wants to come back to the Premier League, and I don't think he wants to be here. I don't think he wants to continue. I don't think he's loving it in Fenerbahce. That's just my opinion based on the vibe. I think that was him kind of putting himself in the shop window for a Premier League job. I think he was bigging up the Premier League a lot. Didn't have much nice things to say about Fenerbahce, to be fair. But we know Mourinho, and he always will want to win. And he knows that everyone in England will be watching this game, and he knows the headlines he will get if he wins the game. He's not silly, and he knows how to kind of create them narratives in the media. So him setting it up being like, Fenerbahce Manchester United don't have to fear Fenerbahce, Manchester United favourites to win the Europa League. That just makes him look so much better if he does beat us. I mean, he said that he studied the games as much as possible and United are better than the results, and sooner or later we'll start winning games. There's good work there. It's just making him look better if he does beat us. And then if we beat him, like he said, oh, well, they're good anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
classic.
But I've been speaking to some Fenerbahce fans and they're actually not a big fan of him, which is, I mean, I love Mourinho and, people can have the argument whether his game still holds up today, if it can hold up in the Premier League. But I love Mourinho, but Fenerbahce fans aren't too happy with the performances. He got a few tough questions in the press conferences from the Turkish media, and a lot of them have said that they think United are going to win tonight. So that's why I'm going with a United win. And Ten Hag seemed in decent spirits, and Eriksen seemed quite motivated as well. So hopefully, the players will go out there and give everything with the limited team that we do have.
One more question before I think we've got the team confirmed, so I'm going to go on to that. Who is your player to watch?
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Mazraoui.
My player, okay. Everyone's going with Mazraoui, so I'll pick someone different. Is Zirkzee starting?
Is Zirkzee starting? Yes, he is.
Okay, well, I've just thought of someone else. It will be between Zirkzee and Ugarte for me. I think both of them, new signings, and I think they need to show a bit tonight. I know Ugarte hasn't had much opportunity yet, but this is a big, big opportunity, away in the Europa League. I think Ugarte, when we're up against it, he's going to have to step up and show why he's worth 50 mil. So big game for him. And also Zirkzee as well. Højlund obviously started the season really well. Zirkzee's had a few good moments, but realistically, I know we need patience, and I know, someone's not going to adapt straight away. But at the end of the day, when you're a United player, pressure is on and you've got to perform. So I want to see him perform tonight.
Okay, cool. Beth, good luck at the game.
Thank you. Good luck, guys. I'll be tuning into the forum when I get back.
Beth, just a quick one. I know you were saying you're a bit starstruck when you met Jose Mourinho, but from what I heard today, Mourinho's been going around telling his mates that he couldn't believe that he met Beth from the United stand. So there you go.
He's out here.
There you go. That's the word on the street, Beth. Back in Manchester.
Thank you very much.
Stay safe in Istanbul, yeah?
Hopefully we get the win. See you later, guys.
Come on, United.
So we've got the team news. Oh, I shot the stadium there. So we've got the team news in. You ready?
Come on, Mords, hit me with it.
So in goal, can you take a guess?
Don't throw. Binder. Tom Eaton.
In goal, we have Onana, as expected. In defence, I'm assuming in defence anyway, Diallo, De Ligt, Lindelof and Martinez.
At left back, yeah.
I don't know where they are, but that's the four players in defence. In the midfield, Ugarte, Eriksen and Mazraoui. I'm assuming, by the way, this is the midfield, by the way. I'm assuming it's midfield because they haven't put it in order. And in the front three positions, Garnacho, Rashford and Zirkzee. Now, I've just heard in my ear that UEFA, they've put it out as in positions and they have Mazraoui in the 10. They have UEFA, by the way. This isn't like a random Twitter person. This is UEFA have put Mazraoui in the 10. I don't know if that confirms it, but that's as much confirmation as we're going to get until we see it.
I cannot work out, right, if Ten Hag is just trying to play Mourinho at his own games. We've just had Beth then talking about Mourinho and the way that he builds up this siege mentality and you don't know what he's going to do. He doesn't care about who he annoys, whatever. And it is a wild card. Honestly, I don't think we will ever do a countdown to kickoff where we get a team and we hear a player playing in a position where we're actually kind of laughing because we're just like, wow, where has this come from? And I know again that Beth's just mentioned that apparently he's played this position a couple of times, but I just thought it was a huge opportunity for somebody else, a forward-thinking player to kind of play in that central attacking midfield role, the number 10 role. Well, he's gone with Mazraoui. So, I mean, who am I to argue?
Let's see what happens. Let us know in the chat. What do you guys think? In fact, send your super chats in so I can read them out. Let me know, what do you think about that? It is, as much as we can confirm it, is Mazraoui's in the 10.
It's looking that way.
That's as much as we can say. Maybe there are people saying potentially Martinez in the DM, like I said before. But as far as I'm concerned, until we see it on the pitch, Mazraoui is playing the 10 today. So there is a super chat from class 92. Jose playing mind games, especially with the Erik ten Hag comments earlier in the week, trolling us, laughing on the inside, knowing this manager is weak. Wow.
I tell you, one of the funny
comments.
things was when Mourinho mentioned, obviously the year that he won the Europa League with United, he finished second. And then he threw in the charges and Manchester City and basically saying that one day, you know, he could
get a medal.
Get another. I was like, go on, Jose.
I'll be honest, when it comes to press conferences, nobody's better than Jose Mourinho.
Yeah.
He knows
He's box office.
He knows exactly what to say, and he probably did get in Ten Hag's head. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Probably why he started Mazraoui in the 10.
Exactly.
But yeah, let us know in the comments. Send your super chat saying what do you think about this Mazraoui in the 10. Super chat from Dale Nesbit. Clearly a back 5 with Zirkzee as a false 9. I mean, a back 5 would make sense. I think that is the kind of, from our point of view anyway, that is what makes sense. You know, playing the 3 defenders, Lindelof, De Ligt and Martinez, Diallo left wing back or right
theory,
wing back.
In today's kind of game, it's a back 3. I know it falls into a back 5.
Yeah.
But the wing backs
three at the
today
back,
are
2 wing
technically,
backs.
I mean, the way they get forward. But yeah, again, it does offer you that protection. But again, you look at Fenerbahce and you think, yes, the atmosphere's building there, the fans get in early, but they'll be playing off that. And Mourinho will know that as well. I personally think United are better set up, even with Mazraoui at the 10, to beat Fenerbahce. I don't think I think they're roughly about 6th, 7th.
I think the 4th in the league.
Oh, the 4th?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're doing better than us, but you know what I mean? I mean, man for man, I think we've got a good opportunity here to go over there and get a result. But again, it's the manager that's in the dugout, the mind games. But one thing's for sure, if Mourinho won the so-called press conference battle, which he was always going to win against Ten Hag, because chalk and cheese, you know, the charisma and this and that. So if he's won that, then Ten Hag's won the team selection one, because I bet Jose's in that changing room scratching his head now going, you know...
I've been studying all week. He said it in the press conference, I've been watching them all, I've been watching all their games, I know what they're like, and I was probably thinking...
He's probably saying, this Ten Hag, the hard guy, is so predictable, I know what team he's going to pick, and we'd probably agree and say, he always picks the same team, and then he's probably gone... Wow, Mazraoui at number 10. So
how do we deal with him? But Fenerbahce are 4th in the league. They won 5 games, drawn 2, and only lost 1 game in the league. So they're not exactly.
They're already a bit off the pace, aren't they? They're 6 points behind Galatasaray, which is
8 points.
8 points behind.
8 points behind Galatasaray. So
Statman Kev at it again here.
You know what you're talking about. But I guess the other conversation really is Højlund not starting. Zirkzee started as that number 9, I guess. I mean, whatever you want to call him, number 9. How much of an impact do you think that's going to have on this team? Because we aren't playing with a 10. Even though Mazraoui is allegedly playing as a 10, and even if he is playing as a fullback or wing back, that means we don't have a 10 technically. Even if Eriksen is playing, he's not going to play that high up the pitch because he's one of 2 midfielders. So he's going to have to be a bit more composed in the way he's playing, a bit more. He's going to have to drop back a little bit more just because it's just him and Ugarte in the midfield. What do you think is going to be the impact of playing Zirkzee over a Højlund? Do you think it's going to mean that he is going to be a player that drops in a lot more deep because to fill in those spaces in the midfield? Or is he going to, because we might have potentially Mazraoui, Diallo, Eriksen and Ugarte all in that midfield, does that mean he's going to push a bit more forward?
I think it's definitely set up more for possession-based football and a team that's going to be more compact. If let's say, I mean, from the first whistle, I'd love nothing more than United to set the tone, go out there, you know, attack Fenerbahce, but deep down, you know, them days are kind of behind us, and maybe one day they will return. But I don't expect United to do that. I expect the atmosphere to be, you know, like really ferocious. And I see United, the game plan would be really, you know, to kind of sit in there. First 5-10 minutes, get a feel for the game. Højlund I'm disappointed because he scored a brilliant goal at the weekend, and if the one thing a striker needs, it's certainly a run of games. It's when you start scoring, and we've seen that last season when Højlund went on that goal trail before he got injured again. You know, he goal after goal after goal. Strikers need that, but this is the huge pressure that has been put on Højlund. He is our only striker. Some people can say that Zirkzee is a backup. Zirkzee is totally different. And the one thing he will offer is, at least in that final third, I would say ball retention, and he's definitely going to, bring the wingers into play. But at the same time, with Højlund, the flip side of it is you are going to miss that intensity at the top. That, I'm not giving you a second on this ball, pressing, looking for mistakes, on their back four, back three, whatever it's going to be, and forcing a team into mistakes, because I don't expect Zirkzee to do that. He is a big lad, but he's just a bit more, like you say, if it is an instruction, you could probably see him, coming a bit further back, to help out in midfield. But we'll just have to see how it goes.
Let's see how it goes. Yeah. Also, in that front three as well, it is Rashford and Garnacho. Now, out of those two players, first of all, who would you say is your biggest threat for United? Who would you say is a guy that, because we have seen, Garnacho has I'm not sure what his specific stats are this season, but he is obviously putting in some goals and assists.
Scoring assists.
But Rashford
it would have to be.
Rashford is last game, in my opinion, I said Rashford was probably man of the match. Yeah. I think even though Garnacho did score, I think Rashford was a player that made most things happen. In fact, Rashford was the reason why Garnacho scored. It was Rashford's cross.
A great ball.
And he had a few decent crosses in that game as well. He had a couple of decent chances himself. I think defensively, he tracked back way better than I've seen in the past year and a half since the start of last season. He defended a lot better. His energy was a lot stronger on the pitch. He looked like he was playing for his position almost. So in my opinion, if we see that Rashford game after game, he is our best attacking player. That Rashford is our best attacking player. The question is, are we going to see that every single game? So going off that and going off what we did see Rashford last game and what Garnacho has done for this season, who would your biggest threat be in that front three?
I would say on current form, it has to be Garnacho.
Yeah.
100%. I get the argument for Rashford. There's something just seems the last couple of weeks just to have clicked with Rashford. Now, whether this has come from Ten Hag, and we know what happened in game week 2 in the Europa League, brought off against Porto at half-time, which we were shocked at the time, we're thinking he was playing all right, but defensively, he was not tracking back. Yeah. Now, since that, he seems to be doing his job, as Roy Keane would say. He seems to be doing his defensive duty as well. Yeah. And it's not a lot to ask. I know you do get these kind of players that are left to their own devices. You stay up there, very extreme, sort of, prime Ronaldo.
They're like luxury kind of players that that if they do get the ball, we have a very good chance of scoring. It's not like anyone. You will
compensate for that, and you will say, well, all right, we'll cover you. You're better staying further forward, because if we get half a chance, the chances are you are going to score. Yeah. Obviously, the thing with Rashford is he's that we've had about 18, 19 months of him not really performing. But just recently, now whether something's been said, whether he's just looked at it himself and thought, I need to, if you want to stay at the club, does he want to go? He seems like he's interested again. Yeah. And it should never have come to the point with Rashford where you're questioning, a lad that was born in Wivenshaw, whether he's going to stay at United, he loves the club. He's quick enough to tell us this. Yeah. And you would say, right, well, the only way for you to prove it is not standing at the side of the pitch, pointing at the side of your head, getting on at fans and that. Go out and do it on the pitch, put the ball in the net, set Garnacho up against Brentford, whatever it could be, have an effect on the game. But the testament to him, just recently, he seems to be getting the full package. And we've heard Paul Scholes many, many times saying, why, when did wingers or forward players stop tracking back and helping out the fullbacks? Because they're leaving him exposed. But recently, as a more all-round kind of performance, it's there, and he deserves to be in the team. Yeah,
I don't give any excuse to any player to not track back, especially in modern football. Maybe you can say back in the day they used to do that, and you could have a Ronaldo, like you said, who he's playing with a team, of players like Ji-sung Park, Darren Fletcher, Rooney, Tevez. These guys are going to run until they can't run again.
Those
guys are like on a power bank. They're just running until the end of the game. So you can potentially allow a player like Ronaldo to not have to track back as much, especially because of how good he is. Yeah. But I don't think you can do that in modern football anymore. I watched Vinny yesterday. Not yesterday, was it 2 days ago? Maybe 2 days ago yesterday.
Yeah, a couple of days.
Against Dortmund, running for his life. He was tracking back, he was pressing, he was running like he had something to prove, and he scored a hat-trick that game. I don't hear excuses for that anymore. I'll be honest. Once you see the best players in the world do it, you don't have that excuse anymore. You can't not do it.
It's not necessarily like you're asking him to turn into Roy Keane, and get back and put in a crunching challenge. It does come down to that thing that Ricky will say about team shape. Just getting back behind the ball and being in line, that then banks of 4 or whatever your formation is going to be, and being that extra man, that person, like you say, if somebody does beat the fullback, then you trap that player. Yeah. Stop the cross, stop the shot. Yeah, if you can tackle them, fair enough, but you're not expected to be flying into challenges, because that is not his job. But at least, the very least you can do is track back, at least work for the team. Yeah,
especially when it comes to those moments in a game where you kind of need all 11 players on the pitch to be putting in 100% effort, because we're going to have games where we're in super difficult positions, the game's very tight. It comes down to small moments. It comes down to, if you didn't track back at this moment, they could potentially score and we lost the game. It's
one lapse of concentration, and it's
that could change the game. It could change the season.
Yes, De Ligt was off the pitch against Brentford, but you've got Diallo that literally switches off for a split second, loses his man, free header, bang, we're 1-0 down. You can blame the medical department, the referee, whatever, the fact that De Ligt was off the pitch, he would have been there. No, you have to deal with it. And what Diallo did there was switch off, and it shows how easy it is, in them moments, and bang, you're 1-0 down. Yeah,
and you don't want to have that against Mourinho.
Oh, no.
You don't want to switch off and concede a goal just before half-time.
Well, you don't want to be going 1-0 down, ideally, against...
That's the end of the game.
The bus will be getting parked up.
The game will end at half-time, I promise you. We won't see a striker on the pitch. He will make 5 subs and he will end the game. In fact, let's talk... let me just go through Fenerbahce's team. Like I said before, there was a couple ex-United players in there. In goal, they've got... I'm going to struggle with some of these names, by the way. But they've got Livakovic. They've got Mulder, Juku, Soyuncu, and Osayi Samuel. Yeah, I'm struggling with the names. But
I think you've smashed that out of the park, to be honest, mate.
In midfield, they've got... Szymanski. They're going to be killing me in the comments. Szymanski. And Fred and Amrabat. I know those two.
Very easy ones.
Fred probably the easiest name out of all of them. And Amrabat. And the front 3, Tadic, who Ten Hag knows very well, Saint Maximin, and N Nesri. Again.
Well done, Mordzs.
Don't know how to pronounce his name, but that's as well as I'm going to do. To be fair, I actually didn't realise Saint Maximin even played for Fenerbahce. I thought he was still in Saudi. I'll be honest. I thought he was still in Saudi, but now that I know he's there, that's a huge threat.
Yeah.
I mean, considering he be playing at left back, Martinez. Actually, he'll be going up against Diallo, to be fair. That's going to be a difficult game.
Maybe, like you say, I mean, tactically, I'd like to think that Ten Hag's done his own work, and he's looked at this and he's thinking, like you say, how can I nullify the threat that Fenerbahce are going to pose this evening? And, if it does work out this evening, he's going to look like an absolute football genius. If Mazraoui, pulls the strings, we're going to be sat here saying, wow. Did not see this one coming. Easily at the same time, if it goes tits up this evening,
why the hell did you put Mazraoui in the 10?
Why is he playing Mazraoui?
But I mean, I know this is wild to say, and that's just, like I said, we are going off the fact that it is, as far as we can confirm, it is Mazraoui in the 10. What if he puts in a masterclass? Like, what does that mean now? Like, does that mean this is a new Mazraoui that we're going to see? I remember when Gareth Bale went from left back to left wing, and all of a sudden it was like, wait, we've got this dangerous attacking player that's been playing left back this whole time. Same as Saka. Saka was playing left back at one time. Out of nowhere, he's one of the best right wingers in the league, if not the world. What happens if he puts in a masterclass today?
I can't. I don't think he'll be playing
fullback
at West Ham on Sunday. Anyway. I think even if he scored a hat-trick tonight and got man of the match, I think Bruno would come back into that team.
He would still definitely come back, but it kind of
gives you something to kind of think about. But again, at a club like United, I go back earlier to the players that he's kind of signed, and you're kind of scratching your head thinking, did we really need these players?
Yeah.
Mason Mount is probably the main person up there that you think can sort of, shall we say, challenge Bruno for his position, or let's say if the manager decides that Bruno's going to have a rest, then Mason Mount would come into that position. But again, it's just the injuries and that. And but I mean, this is honestly the wildest countdown to kickoff I've ever had, because Mazraoui.
We could actually just be
number 10.
completely wrong. Like, everyone could just be wrong, and they're just playing 5 at the back.
It could be,
Yeah,
but
it's a good conversation though.
why would it be on the official kind of?
It's on foot mob. Apparently, Opta have put it 5 at the back.
5 at the back.
So it depends who you believe. I'm just gonna wait till
We'll know
it
within the
starts.
first 5 minutes of the game, won't we?
We'll know when they line up.
We'll know from the formation before the kickoff where they stood as to what
like,
the
oh,
hell.
so we just spoke about Mazraoui in the
is
10th for
going
no reason. But I want to talk about the captain today, because it is confirmed Martinez is the captain.
Oh, is it?
Obviously, Bruno usually is the captain, but today he's not playing. So, first of all, would that have been a player that you would have thought would have been a captain, considering we do have players like Diallo could have been in there. Eriksen's obviously captain for his international team. I mean, De Ligt's been a captain for Ajax.
Yeah.
Who would you have chosen as your preferred, I guess, vice captain?
It's a great question, that. Obviously, well, Eriksen has had the armband, hasn't he? You would look at him as one of the more experienced players. I would like to think there's a bit of thought gone into this one. Obviously, De Ligt as well, I think he's just a natural-born leader.
Yeah.
You look at him on the sideline when we conceded that goal, I don't even know what he booted. Was it a cone or a ball?
Yeah.
He's fuming because he just wants to get back on the pitch. He's a winner. He's a leader. He was he, captain of Ajax at like 19?
17.
Was it? Something? Yeah, as a teenager, we'll say. Why probably... if we're talking purely based off this game and the hostility that you are going to receive, then I think Lisandro Martinez, the butcher, what a great call to have a player like that. In terms of the way he's tenacious, he's a leader, he'll set the tone. Yes, he might be reckless, he'll fly into a challenge.
You need that.
But, we talk about past captains at Manchester United, and you look at a Roy Keane. If you were playing Galatasaray, Fenerbahce, whoever it's going to be, one of these games where you're going into hell and it's all built up, then for me this evening, that, I don't know whether they have looked at it and thought it is Fenerbahce, we need quite a strong leader. Lisandro Martinez is the man for me this evening. And
I agree. Let me know in the chat as well, who do you guys, who would you put as the captain today? Considering the team that's out, Casemiro has had the armband before, but he's obviously not playing right now. So out of the players that are playing right now, who are confirmed, who would the captain be? Because
it'll tend to be one of the more senior players.
It's crazy how Rashford isn't in this conversation, in my opinion. Because for someone he's been at United the longest out of every player here. Every single player here, he's been at United the longest in the first team. He's not a child. He's 26, 27, 20. I think he's 26 years old. So he's not like he's 21, 20. He's been playing at a high level for a very long time. He should actually be in the conversation. I'm not saying he's my choice for captain, but it's wild how he's not in the conversation.
I totally look at this game in isolation this evening, and I think if I'm going to war and I'm in the trenches, I would want Lisandro Martinez with me rather than a Rashford. Winner. And I just look at that, and it is that old saying with Martinez. What is it now? It's it's not the size of the dog in the fight; it's the size of the fight in the dog. Yeah. That applies to Lisandro Martinez. He's a warrior, shall we say? And that is what you're going to need this evening. What my counter argument with Rashford could be possibly that if he did go into a bit of hiding this evening. Or does he need the extra, that armband round him where he feels like he's got to be shouting and all action, and maybe he's just thought, well, you play your game. And at the end of the day, he might not have, in Ten Hag's kind of thinking, maybe there's 3 or 4 players before a Rashford.
Yeah, I agree. I think there is. I think there's probably 4 players before him.
What I would say is, what players in that squad or that starting 11 would have preferred Lisandro Martinez to Rashford? Who did he look up to more? When let's just say we're 1-0 down after 10 minutes. Who are you turning? Would you look at Rashford for inspiration? Yes, he might pull you out by scoring a goal or doing something, but I just think maybe vocally and setting an example on the field, Martinez is much better suited for that this evening.
Yeah, 100%. And I think How old is Martinez actually? Let me actually Google that. How old is Martinez?
I would have a guess at about 25, 26.
You think he's 25?
Similar age as
Oh, he's
myself.
26. He's the same age as Rashford.
Same age as me.
So
26.
So I was gonna say, like, it's not necessarily about how old you are. Sometimes you just have that in you, like Delict.
Yeah.
I think Delict is 25 as well, around that age anyway, 24, 25. But we've seen already how he's played for other clubs. And even for United, I mean, I see it all the time about he's always so vocal. Like, you can tell when someone's a leader about how much they speak. The quieter players, yes, you can set an example by how you play, but
Some lead by
people
example and some, yeah.
Some people lead by just how they speak. They're very commanding in the way how they play. So,
you know, a player like Eric Cantona wasn't. You know, look at him and Roy Keane. You know, two polar opposites. Yeah, Cantona got into trouble. You know, he might shout at referees, might kick fans in the crowd, do whatever. But they were two polar opposites, whereas you had Roy Keane, who was very, very vocal, would let every single player know that they had to be at the races, and Eric Cantona kind of led by example. Yeah. Other players were in awe of him. He didn't have to shout at people and say, you know, pick up your game and that, because he led by example, and because of the standards he set on the pitch. You know, the class of 92, the younger players in that squad looked up to him. Yeah. So he had the armband. Everybody knew he was the captain. But he didn't have to go around and say, you know, what are you doing?
He would do it anyway.
French accent, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Super chat here from Patrick Lynch. Rashford isn't in the conversation because it's been reported in the past that he doesn't want to be a captain. I didn't actually know that. He might have been a bit. I don't know how old he was when he said that, but
surely, right? If you're from Wythenshawe, you've grown up as a Manchester United fan. Apart from actually playing for Manchester United, the next big, huge thing would be captaining the club. I can't imagine for 1 minute that Rashford's ever turned around and said that he doesn't want to be the captain. But I might be wrong.
You never know. But yeah, there are a few other players, like for example, Onana. He's experienced, he's got international experience. He's played at Champions League final.
Some people like that because it's the one player on the pitch that sees everything in front of them.
Yeah.
You know, Peter Schmeichel was a great captain at Manchester United. So I get the sense in that, but again, I wouldn't want the added pressure on Onana. I hope I've touched wood. Is that even wood? But I don't want to say for this evening because he's not made a mistake recently. You know, he's just been going about his business. You know, he's doing his job. You know, long may it continue. Maybe the armband might have just added a
little bit too much.
Yeah, they didn't need.
He doesn't need all of that pressure now. We are nearing closer to the game. About 20 minutes until about 50 minutes until the game starts. Again, let us know in the chat what are your opinions on the captaincy. There was a super chat here from Abdurrahman. Actually, not to pronounce. I don't know. I'm even mad. Abdurrahman. Martinez as captain would make sense. He's quite like Roy Keane. Eriksen is more like Carrick or Scholes. He says School, but it says, I'm assuming you meant Scholes. I think both worth the arm band, not brand.
And that's why I said earlier, if he's put 4 into this, the team that we're playing against, the kind of hostile atmosphere that, you know, United are going to receive, the Martinez just seems like the obvious outstanding candidate to wear and, you know, and lead that team out this evening. Yeah. You know, lead by example. If he's flying into challenges, whatever it may be, just setting that tone for the game where it's, you know, we're not scared, basically. The Butcher's not scared of anyone, is he?
Come on, absolutely no way. I've seen him go up against some of the best strikers in the world and clatter everyone. He's not bothered. Another super chat here from Big Steve. Fred masterclass incoming. Can see it happening.
Boo.
I've
got good time for Fred and the time that he had at United, but listen to Jose Mourinho in his pre-match sort of press conference. You know, he talked about United very well, you know, said maybe touching on a few regrets of the way that he left the club and if he'd have had the same backing as Ten Hag and that, fair enough. But the one thing he did say at the end, you know, as much as I like United and I hope they do well in the future, I want to beat them Thursday night.
100%.
So that applies, you know, there's no room for sentiment with Fred and Amrabat, whatever. I'm here tonight, I'm like, no chance.
Oh, I don't care. I don't, as much as like Fred was always like a wasp, what do they call him, a wasp or something like that, a fly or whatever. To be fair, we actually need Fred. Like, let's be honest, the way our midfield is kind of very open and you can put that down to tactical issues and style of play and whatnot, but to have a player that covers so much ground, it would have been so crucial. I
always thought it was the combination of Fred and McTominay, you know, because they got labelled as this pairing.
Fred,
Same way that Lindelof and Maguire, you know, sometimes when you break up them them little partnerships and put them with somebody else. And we've seen that. Lindelof can do all right when he plays with somebody. It's when you play Lindelof and Maguire, it doesn't give you, much confidence. I think it was the same with Fred and McTominay, and a Fred in beside somebody else, another player, I don't know who it's going to be. But then combinations, sometimes Fred could have worked and looked like an absolute world beater because, like you say, covered every blade of grass.
Yeah.
And he served us. He served us well. Took a bit of stick at Old Trafford, but it's part and parcel of it, isn't it?
So I want to get on to. We've got 50 minutes at the end of the show. Who are your players, or who is your player to watch if you have only one?
I choose a great one, didn't I? I actually chose Højlund, didn't I?
Oh yeah, you did.
Originally, yeah. So belter.
I've
cursed it.
We can have a backup player to watch.
Wait, we'll cut that bit out, and I'll say I chose Mazraoui. I've always thought Mazraoui could fill the number 10 role at
creativity,
Bruno plays.
I can see it. Yeah, I'm foreshadowing.
I'd chosen Højlund purely because the great goal at the weekend, and for the reasoning that I kind of said earlier was, once a player like that scores a goal, they can usually go on a bit of a goal trail. And again, we won't know whether, do we even know the bench, the official bench? Is he on the bench or has he been left out because of injury? That would be the interesting one to know. Is he available to come off the bench? Is it a tactical thing, or has he got one eye on Sunday? Because really, we have to win this game.
Yeah, let me just get the bench up quickly.
Yeah, let's have a look. Because
let me see.
It'd be interesting to know, is it purely rotational?
Oh, Sam C's just sent it.
Got it. We'll have a look now and see quickly.
Get this up.
Everybody else in the chat will know, won't they? They'll be.
Okay, so the bench is Bayern, Heaton. 2 goalkeepers on the bench is never a good sign, by the way. Harry Amas, I don't know if the guy's name either. Ogoni. I'm African as well, I should be able to pronounce that. Casemiro, Ahmad, Anthony, Højlund, Ethan Wheatley.
So he is on the bench.
Yeah. So it's not like
he's not injured. It's not like he's been left out. It's purely something that Ten Hag is trialling this evening.
And I've just had a report as well that there's actually less players on the bench than we actually should have.
Yeah.
So we're actually lacking.
Got 2 goalkeepers on the bench.
We're lacking players on the bench. We've got Mazraoui in the 10. It's not the best start.
It reminds you a bit of last season, doesn't it? The injuries were horrific, especially defensively. And it just, we're not even, how many Premier League games are we in this season? 8 or 9 games?
9, yeah.
And we're already at this point again where I'm not writing the season off because I think it was a good result against Brentford, something to build on. But the injuries, and I don't want to use it as an excuse because I look at Erik Ten Hag and I think he spent 660 million. To beef that up, it's £500 million on the players that he wanted. Yeah. And that's why I'm questioning him. He's got De Ligt, Mazraoui, good signings so far, but there are ones like maybe Zirkzee and Mason Mount to an extent where I'm like, could that money have been spent, better? But
what do you think about Harry Amas being on the bench? Because
I think that's a good call. Again, it comes back to bite him in the arse because last season it's something we were talking about all summer. Even when I was doing my Thursday night show, we were talking about getting cover for a left back. We knew Luke Shaw's injury was kind of long-termish, and Malacia, we were scratching our head every week. We didn't know what was going on with him. Luke Shaw is back in training. You've seen him on the grass, didn't you?
He is back in training, not with the team though, but he is doing...
Separately, he was running, wasn't he? So, I mean, that is a good sign. But again, it does come down to, Amas, Erik Ten Hag already said at the start of the season, pre-season, did well, but he's not going to throw him in because he basically doesn't want to ruin him. But at the end of the day, he was the only actual sort of, I say natural left back, the only one that's his position, left back. We're having to play Diallo on the left, Mazraoui's been a breath of fresh air on the right-hand side, but I like that because hopefully if we get into a position this evening, fingers crossed, if we're 2-0 up with, 15 minutes left.
It'll probably have to be like 5.
Yeah, well,
you never know, 15 minutes.
Just to be sure. You bring him in, don't you? And, for what an experience to play at Fenerbahce, in that kind of atmosphere. But
true. Super chat here from Dap, Ten Hag, and then he put in quotation marks, me and Mourinho, we both win trophies. Did he actually say that?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Did he actually say? Oh my God. He doesn't help himself.
I know.
At all.
I like to think that he just says these things and then he kind of walks out into a room and goes, "Did I just say that?" Because he has got. They do win trophies, but if you're gonna put yourself on the kind of pedestal that Jose Mourinho and that level, we're talking Champions Leagues, Premier Leagues, you know, and I mean the high, and then. Down here, you've got like Ten Hag with his Carabao Cup and his FA Cup.
Yeah. There's
levels, man.
There's levels.
But again, if Ten Hag was this Mourinho kind of character that everybody loved in the media, they'd be buzzing off that and going, "It's mind games, it's this, that." But
you got to prove yourself.
Ten Hag, it just doesn't come across great, and I think a lot of it's lost in translation. In fairness to him.
Yeah, I think he definitely has to win a little bit more to put his name and Mourinho's name in the same conversation. Yeah. I mean, Mourinho is known for winning.
You could argue and say, well, he does win trophies, but when he says me and Mourinho, we both win trophies, it's like, all right, mate, back in your box.
Fair enough. Another super chat here from Life People and Marketing. We've been so consumed by Ten Hag playing 5 defenders that we've forgotten about Ugarte. Is he being eased into, or is he going to be a cup player only?
That's a great question, that.
Eased into, I don't see why he'd need to be eased into a team where we're looking for midfielders. And I remember when Van der Beek first came, like you said before, when he first came to United, and Ollie did not play Van der Beek at all. Like it was actually frustrating for a while because it was like, why have we just signed this player and you've kept him on the bench game after game after game? And there were other teams that had made signings and they were playing them straight away. And
didn't make any sense.
Didn't make any sense. This is kind of, and in fairness, now looking back in hindsight, wow. So I'm going to stop what I'm saying. Yeah. I just, confirmation.
At least after how long when we can actually clear
finally,
this one
at 20 past 7, 40 minutes to the game, everyone listen in clearly. This is from Erik Ten Hag himself, not FootMob, not the UEFA. Erik Ten Hag himself. Mazraoui is playing at the 10 position. That is confirmed from the guy who made the decision. So it's not a rumour anymore. It is facts. Mazraoui is playing in the 10 position. We're about to see a completely... This is a new game we're watching. I don't know what I'm about to see today. That we don't know. We have no inkling, for me anyway. Maybe you guys have seen him play in the 10. I have no prior experience of seeing him in the 10.
From what you've seen of him, solid as a right back. So he can tackle. He can certainly get up and down that right-hand side. But even in the final third, it's one thing that I think held Wan-Bissaka back, was that defensively he was solid, but maybe in the final third, cut back, opportunities gone, where Mazraoui is a bit more direct, but he will keep the ball. He's very comfortable playing up there. He's not one of them players where you think, oh, he's going to get a nosebleed if he gets too far up the pitch. So, I mean, it's new for me, it's new for you, it's new for all the United Stand viewers. Yeah. We just have to get behind this now, don't we? We're not complaining about it. I think we're just more shell-shocked, stunned, the fact that we are going to see Mazraoui playing number 10 for Manchester United. And whoever thought they'd hear that? You
know what? He's a Ten Hag signing. He's come from Ajax. It's Ten Hag's guy. He probably knows him more.
It's not the first time ever that he's played this role.
Yeah, so he has played in the Ajax. So.
If something's been worked on in training and it's a game plan, I'm all for it. Because you will get these people that are, staunch Erik Ten Hag people out. That want Ten Hag out, which will say that tactically he's inept, doesn't change his game plan, doesn't change his formation. Well, this one's for you lot tonight.
So there is a quote from Ten Hag. He says, Mazraoui is in the 10 position. I know him from before at Ajax. I played him there. Also, as a fullback, he plays in the half spaces, so he's capable to do his job. So like I just said literally 5 seconds ago, he played at Ajax
it's not like
with Ten Hag. So Ten Hag knows his capabilities. He's not like a new signing that he's had to do his research on. He worked with him a lot. So
it's not like we're just playing Onana on the right wing and we're putting Tom Heaton in net. It's not. But it's a big call because again, it does give ammunition for the people that don't like Erik Ten Hag after this, that if it does not go to plan, the buck stops with Ten Hag, and he's set up this team. You should set up the team really to give yourself the best chance of winning. It's game week, what is it, game week 3?
In the Europa League,
Is it in the Europa League?
Europa
Sorry,
League,
we've taken 2 points from our first 2 games. Again, if we get a draw this evening, there might be some people who say I would take a draw now if you offered it me. It'd be 3 points out from a possible 9. And you go back to that FC20 game. Your home games really you should be winning. And then away from home you can keep it a bit more compact and that. But there's certainly caution in that, in that setup, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
And with Højlund not starting.
Super chat here from Red. Oh, it's just come off. Super chat here. This laptop is moving. Super chat from Red Army. Ten Hag finally realised Martinez isn't centre back. Well, you're wrong. He's playing centre back. So maybe he didn't.
Red Army.
Maybe he hasn't realised. There is another super chat. Yeah, from Big Steve. Give it a chance, then judge after the game. Yeah, I mean, we're going to see after the game anyway. How
wise words from Big Steve.
Yeah, so
very wise.
I guess we'll get to see exactly how it's going to work. I mean, I don't want to be negative. I'm usually an optimistic United fan anyway, so I want him to do well.
In football terms, I'd say after 10, say 15 up to the 20-minute mark, you'll get a gist of the game plan and exactly what's going on, and whether Mazraoui looks comfortable in that role, or are we going to be looking and going, bloody hell, this lad is lost. This is not his position. But it's a big game to certainly be trialling something like this. But you'd like to think he's not just been thrown into this. He has played the role under Ten Hag before, not for United, for Ajax.
Yeah.
So you look at that and think it's not a first, but it's certainly a first for us as Manchester United fans.
Another super chat here from Trey Warren. Ten Hag putting his neck on the line. I love this. Look,
I love this game.
I feel like Ten Hag, we say this all the time. We've been saying this for like a year and a half. Every game's a big game for him now. Every game. And I know Ricky always says that like it shouldn't be a big game because he should want to win every game anyway. But I think the fact that...
That's the pressure.
There's already been conversations with the people above him about his job. So because of that already, he has to be putting in good performances. Results are one thing and we do want to win. It's about performances, because performances are what's going to last in the long run. You can have a good result today and lose the next 10 games. So it kind of, even though you might win today, if we play terribly and we just out of nowhere, Garnacho does something crazy and we score the overhead kick again, it's a great result, but the performance was still bad.
Yeah.
That's what we need to see.
That's what we need to start seeing.
That's what we need to start seeing from Ten Hag. So, look, huge game. I'm excited. We've got about 5 minutes to show. Yeah, he was my player to watch.
Your one to watch.
I can't remember who it was. Can someone remind me, put in my ear who my player
I
to
know
watch
who it was. I've just remembered Rashford.
Yeah.
That's why you were...
It was
before
Rashford.
Going, give Rashford the armband and that.
I did not say that because I know the chat are going to think I actually said that. No, I just think because the last game he played amazing. Again, in the Porto game, had a great first half. He likes a big stage, so Rashford could come out today and have an amazing game, and I don't see why not.
In terms of Højlund then, are you disappointed he's not starting? Or?
Yeah, I've every time we have the conversation about Højlund or Zirkzee, I always say Højlund. I just think if we want to score goals, he is your guy. And it's not to discredit and say anything bad about Zirkzee. It's not, I'm not trying to, because I feel like he does get a lot of hate. He's been getting a lot of hate recently, which I do think is a bit undeserved. I'm not really a fan of that. I don't think he's a terrible player. And the way people talk about him is a bit reactionary. I think it's a bit too harsh. But I just feel like if we do want to have a player who's going to be a threat in that position, he is the guy that we want. And
He's only number 9.
He's only number 9. And I think because of his age as well, he can't learn and develop by just sitting on the bench and watching. I feel like he's the kind of player that gets better every game. He spoke about what Ruud has done for him in terms of training him and giving him tips and props and how to develop his game. The only way that's going to actually develop in his real game is if he gets to play. And I just feel like the more he plays, it's going to get better and better.
He's one of them players that, like I say, once he starts scoring, you want him to be playing. But again, we don't know. The fact that he's on the bench, you would like to think that Ten Hag has probably said to him, we have got a game Sunday. I know you take it one game at a time, but maybe he said, listen, if I do need you this evening, I'll call upon you, but I want to see if we can get this one, through without you, and then at least you're 100% fresh for West Ham on Sunday. But
yeah, and you're right.
I'm sure there would have been a conversation like that. Not for 1 minute has he been dropped or, any of this kind of nonsense.
Got a super chat from Patrice Evra. I don't even want to read this.
Oh, here he is. That's because I shouted before. I love this game. He must have been like...
He said, Kev and Mordzs, My se.xy, he put a dot in between, so I'm going to say the dot. Guys, I love this game.
I love this game. Oh, Patrice in the
Nice
chat.
super chat from Patrice Evra.
What a time to be alive.
he's a left back that we could use.
Oh, God, I could do with him.
Could do with him today.
The number 10.
Yeah.
Patrice at number 10.
You never know. You never know. So we've got 1 minute left to the end of the show. Now that we see the team, now that we know how Ten Hag's setting up, is there any more quotes? In fact, I want to know if he said anything else about the game. Maybe we can read them out. But now that we've seen the team, what are your thoughts now going into the final thoughts going into the game?
I am just very, very. I've got to find the right word.
Are you more excited? Are you less excited? More
I'm
optimistic?
excited. I'm a little bit nervous. I'd say I'm more intrigued to see how this setup is going to work because, like I said, if anybody out there could even say to me for 1 minute that Mazraoui, in the number 10, Ten Hag has played an absolute curveball this evening, and we have to see how this works out. It could be an absolute disaster, but I'm a glass half full kind of guy. So to me, I'm thinking, I'm down with this. Let's see where it takes us. There must be a game plan. I think it is to nullify Fenerbahce, but not in a negative way. I don't see it as it's going to be 11 men behind the ball and let's see what they're up to. We've got the players on the counter attack to really, really hurt them and on the break. So that's where I'd be looking at our main threat.
Super chat here from Will Smith.
All the celebs are in the house tonight. That's what happens when we're on
Watching
Mordzs.
from LA or wherever he lives. Wild match for Zirk to build confidence with the start. Wild match for Zirk to build confidence with the start. I don't know what he means by that, but yeah, he should build confidence from today, I guess.
Yeah. I think that's what he means, doesn't it? Yeah, because he's starting. It's a wild game for his confidence.
Yeah, I mean, Will, thanks for the super chat.
Well, yeah, it's Mr. Smith. I'll refer to him as. Love your work, mate.
Another super chat here from Wayne Finnegan. Yes, Kev, your legend. Come on, United.
Yes, Wayne. Come on, United.
There's also a quote here from Paul Scholes. Player, one of our greatest ever midfielders. I'm confused by it, talking about the Mazraoui thing. I hope Mazraoui understands better than what he has to do than I do. I found it difficult to understand Ten Hag's explanation. I don't see him as a number 10. Eriksen is perfect for that. So even Paul Scholes, who, if you're going to look at a midfielder, he's the person that you look up to as a midfielder. He wasn't necessarily a 10, but he understands the game more than anybody else.
I think before the game, we were, even though we know Casemiro was on the bench now, we were looking and thinking, if you want that protection in front of the defence, then Ugarte, Casemiro and Eriksen is the 10.
Yeah.
And we're not, I wouldn't say we're football experts. Well, I'll talk for myself more, you might be, but I'm certainly not. But for me, I was like, to me, that little tweak, and I think it works. It's compact. It can go into a free. They'll use the ball well, obviously depending on how a Casemiro would have played. But listen, the word of the day is curveball, and that's what Erik ten Hag has thrown in, and we just have to roll with it and see how this develops.
So what was your score prediction then?
My score prediction was Manchester United to win, of course, 2-0.
2-0?
Yeah.
Clean sheet?
Yeah, and don't ask me why. Well, because it's going to be like a 5 at the back and Mazraoui in the 10. Mazraoui, a couple of assists. Yeah, 2-0.
2-0. I had 3-1 just because I don't know actually. We're going to win. And
there's no logic behind it these days.
Now that I know the team, I don't actually know. I don't actually know what it's going to be. But I'm going to stick with 3-1. In the chat, let us know your score predictions. Mark is alive. I think he's live or is literally about to go live right now. He's probably going to go live anytime soon. Yeah. But let us know your score predictions in the chat. Another super chat here from Gary Neville.
Oh, God, they're all in here. Wow.
Gary is watching.
Manchester United royalty in the house.
He says, United.
Yeah.
United. A
lot of people put, we're Manchester United. Yeah. That's what he should have done. Just
when he goes,
famously.
Oh, he goes, oh, yeah.
That's his favourite one.
In the chat right now, there's one thing that everyone keeps saying, and it's free Ahmad. Everyone keeps saying free Ahmad. I've seen a lot of free Ahmad in the chat.
It's a movement now.
It's a movement.
See what we've done here on the United stand? We'll have to start a march on Saturday afternoon. We'll all meet up in town, flags with free Ahmad on.
100%.
We'll march about and But again, it is. I can't understand. We spoke about it so early on in the show about Ahmad. Is it an opportunity to play him in the 10? So what would you say that's a kick in the teeth for him? If Mazraoui's getting in the number 10 before
If Mazraoui's getting in the 10 before Ahmad, I might hand in my resignation.
Yeah, I'm fuming.
I'm leaving. But Mark is live. I'm going to read out these couple super chats and then we're going to head over. Super chat from Steve Lebo. Wonder if Eriksen is further back to help transition between defence and attack. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Like I said before, we're going to need another actual midfielder that can control the ball a little bit to be in that kind of 8-ish position.
Yeah.
Another super chat from Patrice Evra. 9-0 or I buy you two a Lambo. I love this game. I mean...
Do you know, knowing our luck, it'll end 9-0, won't we? I love this game.
Yeah, but Mark is live. The chat is saying the same thing, so I want you all to go over to Mark's chat and say, free Ahmad, free Ahmad. Just run it out with free Ahmad, free Ahmad, free Ahmad. And yeah, we're going to see you guys on the fan forum.
Yeah.
See you guys later.